Here now with reaction, I think they might have some. Our Fox News contributors, Terrell and Miranda Devine. Miranda, thank you for joining me tonight. You've, of course, you, the New York Post, on top of really owned this Hunter Biden story. It was so threatening that it was stopped by the FBI with social media. It was damaging. And we now know after the election that it was a single-digit percentage. It was maybe 6 or 7%, I think, of Biden voters said that would have affected their vote if they had known. But isn't this also about character, about the nature of who people are, which then informs how they look and view us? If you're going to ignore your 7th grandchild as like a non-entity, what do you think they think of all of us strangers who aren't even related to them?
Look, that's quite an insightful point there, Tammy, because I think what we've seen with Joe Biden as a politician is that he's built for half a century this mythology around himself, which is sort of modelled on the Kennedy clan. Yeah. And it is that he's a devout Catholic and a family man, and that family's everything to him. And I think, there are lots of holes in that mythology now. We've seen who he really is. We've seen his character. And it's not just in the sort of his involvement and lying about his involvement in his family's influence peddling scheme, but it's also in these small glimpses we have into his actual family life. And I think the fact that he and Jill Biden ignore their 7th grandchild. I mean, I know she was born in different circumstances, and, Hunter claimed he couldn't remember the relationship with the mother, even though it went on for several months. I think the little girl deserves some sort of acknowledgement.
She deserves better. The country deserves better when it comes to role models. Leo, we've got a dynamic, and we get caught up as people who care about politics and everything, but really it's about individual people that we vote for who present themselves in a certain way. And we see it with Gavin Newsom. We see it with really everybody. And that's frankly, I think, in part why Trump has been so appealing. We've known him, all the good and the bad. And that alone was kind of shocking, that you knew who you had. And to this day, he's the same guy. For all of what matters to us when it comes to policy, isn't this just shocking, not just on the political end, but because of the nature? I'm the product of an affair. Every person born matters. And, of course, the argument for the pro-life community is before you're born, you matter as well. Doesn't this kind of show everyone the hypocrisy and the lies that really imbue this entire family?
Absolutely. Joe Biden doesn't have a moral compass, Tammy. He loves power and control. That's why he's been a politician for 50 years. And he's placed the criminal misconduct of his son over the interests of the American people. Hunter Biden is a political liability, a moral liability to this country. And yet Joe Biden has used the power of the federal government to protect his son, not to protect the American people, but to protect his son. And you know what? You got 95%, thank goodness for Miranda, but you got 95% of the left-wing media protecting Joe Biden and the misconduct of his son. Tammy, Miranda, if Hunter Biden's name was Trump, he'd be facing a multitude of felony charges and hundreds of years in jail. But Hunter Biden has high-power attorneys. And I'll tell you one final point. The current impeachment trials, potentially against Biden, against Merrick Garland, against Christopher Wray, is in part due to Hunter Biden's misconduct and Joe Biden's never-ending attempt to cover up for his son.
Yeah, Leo, the excellent points. And Miranda, people say, it's just kind of him supporting Hunter is what, makes him a great dad. Wouldn't that have been the case before all of this happened, and that you weren't engaging with deals with China, or allegedly so, with your son, who now argues that he was too high on crack to know what he was doing? Isn't that where a father's love first comes in? And even supporting your son without having him be in front with the American people, isn't that where that is supposed to work?
Look, I have no doubt that Joe Biden does love his son, and any parent wants to protect their child. But in Joe Biden's case, I think you have to really question a father who puts his addicted son in front of all this unaccountable cash. He made Hunter the bag man for the family. He knew what was going on. Hunter himself has admitted that it was the money from Burisma, the $83,000 a month that was flooding in, that was too much of a temptation for him, and he fell off the wagon. He struggled in his life, and I think most Americans would wish him the best in his recovery. But I think that Joe Biden has really perverted the course of justice when it comes to the FBI, the CIA, and the federal government.
Yes, great point. All because of character and the lack thereof. Leo, Miranda, thank you very much. Now, up next.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.